What is going on, wrestling fans? Welcome to the Tapped In Indy Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Heath Mullican, joined as always by the man who is a little bit different. He's in a different state of life than he was last week. Nick McDaniel. Nick, how are you today?
Doing great, man. Cannot complain. Great week, and a lot of good wrestling to talk about too.
That's right. This is your first show as an undefeated wrestler, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Fans,
pause. Undefeated in a match. I am still not a wrestler. That's what I told. Very
fair,
Okay.
very fair. You have an undefeated record.
Yes.
Fans, if you've been following along and you want even more behind the scenes information about our weekend excursion, our weekend adventure, you need to become a member at patreon.com/tappedoutpod. You can become a member also on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumb, hit the bell to get all the notifications. And if you're like, man, I don't know how to find these guys, tappedoutpod.com takes you right to the YouTube channel. And I want to go ahead and tell you, we already know of 3 or 4 things dropping on the Patreon this week, including some booking ideas for a new promotion that is opening up. You and I recorded some thoughts on our way to Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. Anyway, it was a great weekend, and we appreciate everybody's support.
And for right now, the only place that you can see the entire match that took place at Tannery Row in Buford, Georgia, at Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling between. We'll get into it a little more, but the match itself, the only footage that is the full footage that I know of is on the behind the Patreon wall for now. And shout out to Brandon Benefield, by the way, who filmed another angle, specifically of the ending of the match, and I put that up on our Patreon as well. So we appreciate that. And like I said, you brought up we did an audio on the way there to the show, and then I'm excited, man. We so. Somebody asked us, about the value. We know of 2 things this week specifically that were exclusive, and then you would have also, by the way, Tuesday and Wednesday, you would have gotten each show respectively early that week or whatever. So 4, specific things this week. And look, we discussed a little bit prior to us getting started, changes, format changes, content changes, possibly even focusing of the podcast, network itself. And how it's going to be drastically important that you're a member on tappedoutpod.com at YouTube or at patreon.com/tappedoutpod.
Yeah, big things ahead. I'd say so many of our conversations are about to have how to bring even more value to our members, more content. So that's what we're looking to do. Before we get into the typical topics of this show, let's talk a little bit about I don't have this in notes. I watched Bad Blood with my girlfriend. We watched the main event. Thought it was a pretty good show. A lot of our friends were there.
Yeah, how crazy was that? We made the running joke at the WWE apparently hired the Nightmare security, for the evening. So I specifically saw Jimmy Wild, Parker Lee, Warden, lots of people, that were there. So kudos to those guys for getting an opportunity. Because as we know in wrestling, sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time and getting an opportunity, a break to be seen. Sometimes just being seen is more important than anything in this business, it seems.
Right. And it was interesting. This is the first, PLE I'd watched with my girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, I want to watch this. I'm kind of telling her kind of the story behind everything. And then I'm like, hey, I think The Rock's coming out at the end. And that didn't disappoint, man. What a reaction for that guy. Also, this coming weekend is AEW WrestleDream. The 2 matches I'm looking forward to: Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title. I don't think this is going to be the end of that feud. I think we're kind of in the midpoint. And it's going to lead to something pretty drastic. But another match I've got circled is
hold
AEW.
on.
Oh,
we
sorry.
Don't dive this. I want to ask you, because you watch pretty heavy and you've seen the Moxley promos, and he's come out and he said some things. There's this underlying assumption at this point that Shane McMahon is pulling the strings, and like when he keeps saying like this isn't my decision, it's not my call, like basically implying there's somebody
Right.
bigger. I mean, are we gonna get and then I'm gonna get you? Are you pro or con if we get it? Are we gonna get like a Shane McMahon invasion angle? Essentially, it's like, do we feel like that's what we're gonna get?
Let me tell you, that thought. This is right here. This moment is the first time I've even thought serious about that. I saw this picture of Shane McMahon and the Young Bucks and all this stuff, and I have just not even let that enter into the realm of possibility of what might happen. If you talk about Shane McMahon coming in, pulling together some of the ex WWE guys, if that is not a tremendous shot in the arm for AEW, I don't know what is. Now,
that's what I was going to ask you. If they do this, does it excite you? And then B, if they do this and it doesn't work, is there anything? Because here's the thing. You brought up, yes, I wanted to point out, Yuta splitting off leaves Claudio, Pac, and Moxley, 3 WWE guys. Relatively, they've been there. There's a tether of connection with Brian and Shane back when you remember their angles intertwined when he was like the GM and all that. They were tangled up in there in WWE as well. So there is a story to be told there. But the big part of it is, if you do it and it doesn't work, is there anything that'll work?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it, does Shane show up, pop a rating, and then it kind of goes back to normal? A couple of things that would keep me from doing that. Number one, I don't want Shane wrestling. He's not a young man anymore. The last few matches, he's done the big stunts or whatever. I wouldn't want Shane wrestling. I also would not do this if it meant that Tony Khan becomes a regular on-air character.
Correct.
If you can do this without those two things, I think it's entertaining. It's logical. I will say, I'm not saying I don't like John Moxley. I'm saying I'm not the biggest John Moxley fan in the world. I love Claudia. Their promos, though, the whole wearing the white T-shirts, there's something compelling about that. Their promos have been real.
Yeah.
Like, they've kind of like, what is happening here? So that's, again, I'm an AEW guy. Have been from the beginning. The other match I want to talk about, AEW International Championship, Will Ospreay defending against Ricochet and Takeshita. We got Ospreay and Ricochet on TV. Adding Takeshita, to me, as an AEW, brilliant. Because that's just going to be an outstanding. I mean, that's just going to be a very entertaining match of 3 guys who we're going to be watching for the next 10 years or so, hopefully, barring injury or whatever.
My take on this is, here's the thing. Let me preface with, I personally will enjoy this match.
Yes.
However, excuse me. However, is this the problem that AEW has? The masses won't care about this match.
I see, but I think this is, when AEW started, if you went to fans and it's like, hey, what do you want to see? To AEW fans. Like, I think Danielson Moxley does appeal to Max's. This match, this is for AEW fans. This is for hardcore AEW fans who got turned off by WWE 5, 6, 7 years ago, who wanted something different. And now Tony Khan is like, this is why I made AEW. 4 matches like this.
Never let it be said that I won't try to use numbers to prove a point.
Right.
On Dynamite, we got Ospreay versus Ricochet. They started in the first quarter hour of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know Legendary, they had 801,000 people view the first quarter hour.
Right.
You're welcome, Big Bang Theory. You're welcome. Quarter 2 is the ending of that match. It had fallen to 743,000 during that match. You lost 57,000 people, down 58,000, people is what this thing says by the end of that match.
But is that people who were just watching Big Bang Theory and then they turned it off?
Well, they at least sat through 15 minutes because it was a quarter hour too. They were at least into the 16th, 17th minute when they turned off. So they watched 15 minutes of your show.
Yeah.
And then turned it. Did they walk out when Big Bang Theory when it went off? Did they go to the bathroom and it took them 15 minutes to get back to turn their TVs?
No, yeah.
I mean,
I'd be very interested how all that works. I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know. I think most people, most non-fans, when they think of wrestling, somebody like Hulk Hogan, and Andre, these larger-than-life cross-cultural characters come to mind. And so if you're just like, what is this? And it's just Ricochet and Ospreay doing kind of their thing, their spots that they do, that's probably not what you were expecting or looking for. And then if you don't know who they are, those are not cross-cultural wrestlers. Correct. Yeah, I mean that's really interesting. But for me, like when I go back and watch this pay-per-view, that's the one I got circled of.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just glad, like, one of the best things I saw over the weekend was during the Hell in a Cell match, the ring mat. It looked like Starrcade 83. It was great. Mm-hmm. It just looked like, man, you could catch something off of that wrestling mat. It just was a throwback. And we're in a season where really no matter what you like as a wrestling fan, there's something for you. Those are good days.
100%.
Speaking of, no matter what you like, there's something for you. Let's head into this week's This or That with the man himself, the man on the Encore presentation tour, Mr. Terry Lawler. What's up, wrestling fans? We are live here from Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling in Buford, Georgia. It's Heath Mulligan from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, joined by Buford's own Terry the Rocker Lawler. Terry, how are you today?
I'm blessed, buddy. So blessed to be here.
Yes, let's get into this or that. Terry wanted some wrestling questions, so here we go. I'm going to start with a bad question. For entrance music, rock or hip hop?
Well, mine's a mix of both. I guess I'll go with rock.
Raw or Smackdown?
Raw. OG.
Royal Rumble or WrestleMania?
I have to go with the grandfather, WrestleMania.
Powerbomb or Pile Driver?
Pile Driver.
Would you rather have a championship belt or a trophy?
Belt. Travels easier.
What about a plaque? You want a plaque hanging up in your office? Do anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Would you rather be a faction member or solo star?
Solo.
Would you rather have a crowd chanting or a crowd booing?
Yeah, chanting.
Spear or clothesline?
Clothesline.
Intercontinental title or U.S. title?
Ooh. NWA, I'll go with U.S.
Yeah, see, I grew up watching NWA, Jim Crockett. You grew up on Jim Crockett?
Yeah, I'm a Southern boy, Southern braid.
Ole Anderson or Gene Anderson?
Ole.
There you go.
Grumpy.
So you've gotten in tremendous shape. So here we go. Do you have a cheat day, or are you pretty strict on your diet?
Every day's a day.
I got you. Would you rather turn babyface or turn heel?
Well, I've been baby for a good minute. I'm due for a good heel run.
Would you rather have, this is something we asked another wrestler, would you rather have a T-shirt or an action figure?
actually figured it'd be cool as crap.
That would be great. He is Terry the Rocker Lawler. Terry, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and see you wrestle.
So I'm on TikTok under Terry the Rocker Lawler. I'm under Instagram. I'm on Facebook, and then of course YouTube, and then me and my grandson. I don't know if we can see it or not. We got another account for TikTok. It's Poops and Pops 30, and we do some reviews and all that, and just great bonding time stuff like that. So yeah, Google whatever you want to do with me.
Can we get it? We're gonna get into. I'm gonna break curfew here.
What's
What's this latest run been like for you,
Dude,
since you came
I've
back?
been so blessed. I thought I was done due to an injury stuff, and God said He gave me what I needed back, and just blessed me. So it's part of my testimony. Where I go, I got to talk about what God gave me, because I wouldn't be here without that stuff. I'm doing a lot at first. I'm checking a lot of boxes. I made a lot of promises I didn't finish when I thought I was done, so I got to fix those. And I'm just having fun, man. It's just been great. Like a lot of energy on this run. So tell everybody I'm still retired.
Yeah.
Because I'm cheesy, and I'm a rocker. So it's the encore presentation. How long it's gonna last? Only God knows.
Well, there we go. Thanks for watching. It's been This or That with Heath Mulliken, and we'll see you and Terry at the matches.
That's right, man. So, yeah, let's, real quick, though, I wanted to throw in here, happy belated to the birthday boy himself. This past weekend was his birthday.
Yes.
And, that's why it kind of like coinkydink that it fell in line that this was him in the rotation to be on the This or That this week. So, and everybody knows, look, Terry's like family to the podcast, and he has been for years. And, I've known him, I think I met Terry, I was 13 or 14 years old. So that tells you how long we've been, we've kind of been in each other's circling in each other's periphery of the world. But yeah, he's a good dude, and check him out, man. Terry the Rocker Lawler.
He is the go. I'm sitting there watching that video, and like, Terry is in such tremendous shape, and kind of gives me something to shoot for. And again, thanks to Terry for joining us for This or That this week. Now let's jump into this week's Indy Rewind. There were lots of shows over the weekend. And you and I noticed a lot of festival shows, a lot of fair shows. Friday night, Georgia Championship Wrestling was in Milledgeville, Georgia. Huge crowd. Had some really good matches, including Alexander Lev getting a victory over Sauronaro.
That's a claim, like, to pick up W's over Sauronaro. Sauronaro easily, could be argued. He's one of the, when I say, when I think he's one of the best wrestlers around, it's because of the package. It's not that he's not he's super talented in the ring and, can do a lot of things. But I also love, the character, the personality. Heck, we like the dude. He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
Lev's a young guy who's got, he's out here proving his worth, and, picking up wins over somebody like Sauronaro goes a long way, to doing that, just that.
Yes. A friend of the show, Christian Taylor, also on this show. Jerry Nelms retained his TV title. So kudos to Georgia Championship Wrestling. Again, a big show, big crowd out there. Southern Fried they've had a couple of these this year. They had a food truck show out in Auburn, Georgia. The match that we saw a link to that we encourage everybody to check out, Hunter James shared it on his Facebook, was Hunter James and CB Suave. And it was CB Suave picking up the win, but it was as the clock was winding down on that one.
Yeah, and look, it's on Hunter James's Hollywood Hunter James's YouTube channel as well. If you're like, hey, I can't find him, just go to his YouTube channel. You'll find it as well. And it's kind of what's so ironic about this match is it's two gentlemen in, completely different points of their careers. One is in the beginning, one's closer to the end than the beginning. But they're both so talented, and, it's what we saw was youth, versus, experience. And sometimes these young bucks need to learn that experience goes a long way. And in this case, it did. Take nothing away from Hunter James. He is what he is. Here's the problem: Hunter James is pretty much everything he claims to be. That's the problem, right? The problem is, and he knows it, and his ego shows it. But then somebody like CB Suave, he can come in there and use that little bit of experience to get the upper hand and take down the young man. Maybe teach him a little bit of respect for the vets, and not he doesn't probably have it. He just doesn't show it a lot. Let's put it to you that way. So hopefully hopefully that what I call him on a regular basis. Hopefully this will kind of start chipping away at that and kind of teach him some respect.
When I think about just the last few months for Hunter James, and just kind of like this lineup of wrestlers he's faced: Chip Day, Kyle Matthews, CB Suave, CT Keys,
Judias. I mean,
yeah. What does Hunter James have to do to get to the next level? And I'm not talking about the next level in Georgia. I'm not saying what's Hunter James need to do to win a Georgia. I'm talking about what has Hunter James got to do from getting to Georgia to TV? What do you think?
I think we've had this conversation before on multiple episodes. I would like to see. I guess needs a strong word. I want to see him on a poster in Florida, Texas, Louisiana, even beyond Tennessee. Like I want to see him maybe in Ohio Valley. I want to see him, I want to see him on the Northeast coast where wrestling can get hot up there in that corner too. I need to see him in the ring with different talents, that facing some new people. That's kind of, I think, the challenge now for Hunter James is it's time to spread your wings and fly a little bit, and hit get out here. And that's just my opinion. Take it for what it is. But I want to see him wrestle guys that he just does not wrestle, that it's just completely off the, somebody, hey, I would have never thought this was coming. Make it happen.
Yeah. To grow in any sort of way, physically, emotionally, mentally, you have to stretch yourself. And I think he's going to really needs to get out of his comfort zone and make those outside of Georgia connections. And I'd be very interested to see the reaction to a Hunter James in South Carolina. I'd love to see Hunter James at AML.
And listen, let's not, look, he's getting there. That's the thing. We're seeing the signs.
Yes.
He's going to viral. He is starting to hit some other promotions. But I mean, we're talking about let's really stretch your wings, and like I want to see him in Texas or Louisiana, like I said, or Florida, or on and on and on, even beyond, that. That's just don't let the Georgia borders lock you in.
Right. Action Wrestling. They were part of the annual Founders Day Festival there in Tyrone, Georgia. This was a free outdoor show. Saw pictures of it. Great, tremendous crowd. One of the great things about Action is their partnership there with the city of Tyrone. Bobby Flacco picked up another win on his way to his rematch with the one called Manders for that Action title. You had the debut of the Infantry, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. Diego Hill, big win over Rob Killjoy. The one called Manders wasn't there because he was defending the Action heavyweight title, which now legitimately is a world title. It was defended in WXW in Germany in a dog collar match against Mad Dog Conley. And it was very unique how Matt Griffin set that match up.
So literally, it was literally almost the same time as this festival show's running. There's a video breaking, in Germany of him announcing that this is a title match for that Action title, which was it's unique. It was very well done. I saw the video, and I thought it was just, it's a pretty big deal that your title is being defended somewhere else, literally across the globe. And it's one of the things they do that they go out of their way. Action is not just a Georgia show because of the things they're involved with IWTV, etc. And that's why when you're, how do you say, like, they took advantage of the Carly Bravo, his open invitation with the infantry. They're doing their thing. I don't understand how promotions, and I don't know, by the way, I'm going to pretend I don't know, that people like, hey, you have, like, this is an opportunity to pull the trigger and have television talents on your, Carly Bravo, Sean Dean on your show. If you have a tag division, if you claim to have a tag division, these guys got to be like, this has got to be an email, a text, a phone, DM, something to, like, hey, let's see what the measuring stick is, because I promise you'll find out where your tag team stand. And what we found out is that the Skulk is a highly underrated team.
Yes,
this match was phenomenal, and it. By the way, you shouldn't be surprised with, Sean Dean and Carly Bravo involved. I wasn't surprised, but you could be, surprised by what you see, and I think that's what you need to do. Even if it's Carly Bravo against your best, and I threw air quotes up for a reason, your best, you'll find out, oh, okay, this guy can hang with that guy. That's how you kind of want to know. It's what we just said about Hunter James. Seeing, he looks really good with his regular talents. Yeah, but how does he look with a guy we know has it? Because that's what Carly Bravo has, is it. I've said that for years. So, kudos to those guys. And luckily, back to our original point about Manders, one called Manders is coming back, and Bobby Flacco is back on a roll again, and he's not letting up with, earning. He's got this other opportunity for that title October the 18th. He came up short the first time around. It's the second time the charge for Bobby. Is that for Bobby Flacco?
Yeah, that's going to be a big show, October 18th. Some other great matches. Let me just pause right here. I went on IWTV. I was trying to watch the Carly Bravo Landon Hale match. Matt, Scott, Dylan, whoever, please tell me there's footage. I couldn't find it on IWTV. So I don't know if they streamed it, don't know if they recorded it. I just know I need to see this,
they
quoted
don't
match.
They do not live stream from that venue that they were at, but there's footage.
So okay, well, that's
give it time. Yeah. There's footage.
Help a brother out. I need the footage. I'd like to see that. Deep South Wrestling was at Little Cottage Brewing in Decatur, Georgia, and Zilla Fatu posted that he might show up, and he did. For those of you who don't know, Zilla Fatu is Umaga's son, a part of the legitimate bloodline family, and Skrilla also showed up, so who knows what's in the works there.
Listen, Skrilla it will tell the world, and if you listen, and he's telling everybody, Deep South is his home. That's his kingdom. That's it, and it doesn't matter whether he's got that gold or not right now. That's essentially Skrilla's house. And yes. Zilla Vatu's not going to come knocking without asking for permission. And when he showed up, then so was, Skrilla's going to, stand. There was like a 3-way face-off there. And that wasn't even the only big news. We then find out, that October 26th, Skrilla's going to face Lexus King, Brian Pillman Jr., to a lot of people know at New Realm Brewing. And that opens up a ton of questions. And it's not about the match per se in the sense of, hey, that's a barn burner. And you look, check out Deep South. You're going to get an opportunity. You saw Zilla Fatu, who rumors was he was potentially heading to WWE. Lexus King, who is a WWE NXT talent.
Yeah.
So just kind of that in general is kind of interesting. But the question becomes, what does that mean? Like, NXT talents, is this door about to open up that they're going to be working more indie shows?
That is the question of the day. Who knows? Here's what I do know. October 26th, I am going to see Jerry Seinfeld at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, which is a mile and a half from New Realm Brewing. And let me tell you, if this Deep South show is in the afternoon, Heath and Cammy are going to check that out. and then we'll go see Jerry Seinfeld. Because yes, do I want to see Skrilla and Lexus King? Yes. And does this? Would I say to Deep South, if you're not recording your shows, put them out there, this is a good time to start. Maybe I don't know that they can use that footage. Who knows? But that's going to be. You have our attention, Deep South.
Yeah.
SCA had a big show. Rick Page in a cage. Tower was able to retain the SCA championship over Xander Seabolt, and he's going to be defending it this upcoming week at Fight Web with the Fighter Web, and they've got the Fight Web Gauntlet match. We went over the details of that. Luke Da Silva and Jaden Bain are going to be fighting earlier in the night for a spot in that match. And the big story is, can Tower survive the gauntlet and remain champion?
Yeah, and the Da Silva Jaden match, it's when I say it's for a spot, it's for the final spot, like the last entrant.
Yes.
So that match is huge, has huge ramifications because you are in a major advantage being the last guy into this thing. And we did talk about the rules last week a little bit, and we'll probably discuss them a little bit on the other show, promoting them later this week. I am intrigued. I will tell you this. Obviously, we are committed somewhere else Friday, or we would be there. That's 100%. It's that Southern Honor anniversary show, kind of already booked in. But yeah, it's that I'm super intrigued by this, and I honestly told somebody that my contact there at SCA, like, I gotta see video footage of this thing as fast as possible because I am so intrigued. But we talk about like triple threats and four ways where the champion doesn't have really the champion's advantage. This is worse, like, because it's like he's got multiple layers that he could not, he could be eliminated and lose his title, and it's a unique concept altogether. So absolutely check them out on Squared Circle Action on their YouTube channel, and then of course they're on TV up in that market. But yeah, you're doing something right if you get our attention. If you can get me in a match that I have not look at it, probably has happened somewhere. We're not saying it's never happened, but to my recollection, I haven't seen it, and I'm intrigued by it. You've done something right in my book.
Yes, and the great thing about SCA is you can go follow them on YouTube and kind of follow all of these developments leading up to this show. They do a good job of telling the story of what's happening. There was another show on Friday night at Tannery Row Ale House in Buford, Georgia, that you and I were pleased to be a part of. It was Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, supporting the Dusty Rhodes Foundation. Want to send a shout out to them, DustyRhodesFoundation.org. They raise money. Turnbuckle raises money for this foundation, which really invests in youth sports in smaller communities. So it's a great, great cause. Dusty Rhodes was a huge athlete, huge sports guy, and it's just a way of giving back to the community. And that's one of the reasons we love Turnbuckle. Where do we even want to start with the show? I know we're going to be talking more in depth about it later.
How about let's do the obvious? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's focus when we're talking about this card particularly. We'll do it last. We'll get to the what everybody assumes we're going to start with. We'll get there last. Yeah. But the stuff you want to start with is, there's a young man there, Brady Booker, who every time I see him, I'm more and more impressed with him. We talk about how just his skill levels through the charts. He loves to entertain. That's what I try to tell everybody. It's just the level that he will go to entertain. It's just, off the charts.
And that's not a wrestling thing. That's a life. That's like when the crowd was gone and we're taking the ring down. Brady Booker's trying to pop people, make people laugh.
He was entertaining the crowd on their way out.
Yes,
exactly.
That's right. He totally gets it. I mean, Turnbuckle is just a unique show. They have a lot of different matchups you're not going to see anywhere else.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask
yeah.
you this because we talked about this earlier, and I wanted your take. There's guys who I think in the ring who do things that are just different.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Vari Morales, right? Like just totally different. Do things that I'm like, I could never dream of doing those things, and he can do it with anybody, right? But there's also and like there are few guys along the way where I'm like, I focus more on everything. Like the is not the in-ring stuff, and I think that's where we struggle. The last guy that I had the Brady Booker feeling for was Carly Bravo.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, like, when I come to Brady Booker and I go, okay, this guy will probably be signed, and I'm not, obviously he can wrestle. That's not what he was saying, but that's not why I think he'll get signed.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same argument with, the Ben Bishop was, the same kind of concept. Brady Booker will get signed because he has it, not just I can wrestle. I mean, there's a huge thing, and I think, is that where a lot of wrestlers lose in translation, that they think, I'm the best wrestler on the planet, I should be signed. Okay, but it's not just about that.
It is so many things, and I think that's one of the ways Turnbuckle and the Nightmare Factory have an advantage over so many others is they understand that it's the whole package, and they are training people to be that complete package. And Brady Booker has got it, and he's been signed. I mean, this is a guy that was signed before. So anyway, it was a huge night. Adam Priest and Parker Lee, great match. You had a young man that we've been following. He's been training, just started having matches last couple of weeks. Mike Cunningham. He is somebody I am definitely keeping my eye on. He is a guy who is working hard. He is listening. He had a tall order Friday night as he was facing Luke Sampson. Luke Sampson, someone I would not want to run into in a dark alley or a wrestling ring. We saw an I Quit match of Sid Ellington finally getting his revenge, or getting, of defeating Kyron. That was a brutal match.
Here's the thing, because we talk about the differences. This was an opportunity, like, what sets this story, here's the thing, story apart was video packages, promo, like, there was a lot invested into this, and it was a way to, because one thing that the Sid character is it's the connection. Like, even as wild and as crazy as the character looks and whatever, kids love him, the fans love him. They get behind him, and, he's the ultimate underdog. He's always fighting from underneath and all of those things. But like I said, it's Turnbuckle gives them an opportunity to actually do the promos and the videos. And I think the more people get into that avenue and can try to explore those a little bit, it's a huge advantage, especially for these young kids, to get this opportunity. And he picks up a big win, and now hopefully we're off to the races with this, with Sid, and seeing where he's going in the future.
Yes, I keep definitely a couple of folks to get there. Keep your eyes on. So many great names. One of the things, one of the great things about Turnbuckle is the crew, the environment, the conversations. We had great conversations with a guy like Michael Solar. Just a great dude, great conversation, hard worker. It's good to see him he's getting opportunities. He got an opportunity at OVW, a dark match up there last week. But then there was another match. We went into Friday night. You had been challenged by Jack Jameson. You got to choose the stipulation. And so before the show started, you went out and announced to the crowd what that stipulation was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we decided, look, it's there were a couple things we had debated on and we talked about, and we went 6-man, so it was a 6-man tag. I went and got 2 partners. The story, of course, being he just naturally assumed when I said I had my 2 guys, he assumed it was you and Myron.
Yes.
And I'm like, listen, with all due respect, I'm like, I went out and got KJ Impala and Dylan Lesson, the route, pick it, depending on which part of the country you're from.
Right.
To be there and be in our corners and challenge Jack Jameson to go off and find him a couple of partners. Here's the thing: I didn't think he could find 2 people to like him to be his partners. Honestly, I figured it was going to be a handicap, but he did find 2. Hey, by the way, maybe I underestimated the the abilities of the guys that he could pull in, and he did pull in 2 young men and Ryan Dotson and Sebastian Blaze, and I was tip your cap to those guys. They held their own as well.
Yeah, he inducted them into the BG, the Body Guy University fraternity, and it was such an exciting match to be there up close. The crowd was into it, and you guys were able to pick up the win. It was such an amazing experience. Your family was there. I know we're going to talk about this later. But it was just it was a highlight. What a great experience that was.
Absolutely. Appreciate like I said, again, special thanks to KJ Impala, Dylan Lesson look, they carried, we're not kidding anybody. They carried that match and did their part or whatever. And look, it all boils down to the same exact thing we've been saying to Jack Jameson for a couple of months now. He's a very talented individual. Great,
yes.
Great physique.
Yes.
He's, has everything. He has every tool in his toolbox to be, he's on TV for crying out loud. He gets it. And at the end of the day, it was like, what happened? It's all about focus.
Yes.
So, you didn't keep your eye on the prize. You had me exactly where you wanted me. And focus. That's what it all boiled down to. And that's why, I'm retiring 1-0.
I will consider myself 2-0 as a manager in professional wrestling. It was a fun night. We didn't even mention the main event, Satnam Singh, Vari Morales, and Superman against Jimmy Wild, Elijah Drago, and Warden. I just want to say all those guys' names. Satnam Singh is legitimately the biggest human being I've ever seen live in person in my entire life. So nice. Shook my hand and my hand just disappeared. Just a huge human being, an attraction.
Yes.
Like an attraction. And then you have, here's the segment of the show I love, and it's called Putting Vari Morales Over. Like, you can plug Vari in anything. 6-man match, tag team match, singles match. Plug him in anywhere. It's going to be great. And then I don't think we had seen Superman before.
I had seen him at one other show. Sorry, but go ahead.
He looked like he's chiseled out of granite.
Yeah, he's a sight for. And like you said, man, those 3 completely different, the spectrum of what wrestlers are. And by the way, their opponent's kind of the same.
Yes.
Now, look, nobody's obviously as big as Satnam Singh. Warden's a big guy. Drago's, ripped him up. Jimmy Wild's kind of the smaller guy. And I think here's the thing that I like to say. One of the keys, we always talk about putting Vari over, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because he gets in the ring with any of those 3, and he can work any of those 3. The smaller guy, the bigger dude, the chiseled guy. Hey, what style do I need? This. And that's why we're big fans of Vari Morales. And I get it. It's like, hey, every guy, are you guys going to do this every week? Yeah, probably so.
Yes. Jimmy Wild always impresses. It's been cool to see him. It was cool to see him get a main event opportunity here. Warden and Drago are kind of a staple in that spot at Turnbuckle. But again, I cannot I would do a whole show just on that show and just on those guys. Like
Yeah.
I want them to kind of get every single person, even the ones I didn't mention. Scott, Luke, the whole crew, QT. Thank you. Not just like it's just a fun experience. Like cannot thank them enough.
Oh, and listen, we talked to fans because we were curious, like, from a fan perspective, what do you like about the show? Why are you going to come
Yes.
back? And, and all of those things, man, like, I want to make sure I've got the quotes almost direct. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
It's nonstop action. It's the feel of the show. You feel like you're a part of the show. And here's the thing, like, I'm barely going to pull. It is interact with the crowd. You're told, hey,
Yes.
welcome them in to be the show. Don't just say like, hey, watch us. No, feel it and go back and forth. And I will say that's what it was there, being in that ring. There was a, turning around, interacting with the VIPs on the stage, high-fiving, shaking hands, all of those kind of things. It is about the environment. And I do think there are times where that can be lost on your indie show. All they're so focused on is let's get in the ring, tear the house down, show them we're the best wrestlers on the planet, and get out.
Yes. If you
There's a
don't
disconnect.
connect, yes. And wrestling is about emotion and it's about connection. And if you don't have that, you're just exercising inside a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
And when I think this show gave you and I a much different perspective of the importance of that. And because we were interacting with the crowd, but it's also neat to be involved in a match. But I'm standing near the VIP tables and I'm hearing people talking and I'm interacting and they're talking to me. It was just cool, man. It was just an awesome night. So thanks to Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling for a fun night. Again, Friday night was full. Saturday night also full. Premier All Star Wrestling down in Carrollton, Georgia, and it looks like Donald Jakes Ministries finally on the same page as Sean Nelson helped out Stevie Ray Frost in beating Aaron Dallas. We've had the feud between Frankie Valentine and Donald Jakes Ministry going on. It's going to be Frankie Valentine and Stevie Ray Frost in an I Quit match for the Premier All Star Championship. It must be, I guess, with Halloween, it's I Quit match season in Georgia.
Yeah. And I know, look, you may think they're on the same page, but I still think there's cracks there. Donald Jakes' ministry, Sean Nelson may have helped, but he did turn around and just walk out on him.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, that means they're okay. Does it, though? Donald Jakes needs to worry about his in-house of his ministry because there might be a little bit of deceptions and little things going on there. So keep an eye out for sure. And look, I heard nothing but the Stevie Ray Frost Aaron Dallas match. I heard was really, really good, and I'm not surprised. Aaron Dallas is another guy that he connects. Remember, we saw him the first time ever at a Southern Fried show, and at a Southern Honor show. Sorry, and then those fans like within seconds had the hey Ron chant going. Like he literally took one time, and they were in, and so. I don't know. I know he's doing some tag stuff now, but I think if he stays with it, I think he's got a lot of potential here in Georgia as well.
Yes, absolutely. October 19th is All Hallows Eve, the aforementioned I Quit match for the Premier All Star Championship. But then they're also having a Fans Bring the Weapons match between Lamar Phillips and Tyson. So make sure you check Premier All Star Wrestling out on Facebook. In Chatsworth, Georgia, Renegade Championship Wrestling was out there. You had Josh Cox, who defeated Wes Blaze to save his job as a referee, but everybody was getting involved in that match, and it's setting up a big cage match also on October 19th. Heavyweight champion Jason Hampton had to forfeit the heavyweight title due to some injury, and their next show is all cage matches. All cage matches, which is a unique concept there.
And listen, Jeremy Prater lost in 10 seconds basically to
Yes.
Torque. So they're doing they have the series that they've got the best of 7, and it's going to come down kind of the same. At that October 19th, they'll crown a No Limits champion. We'll know because look, when you do those best of 7s, you never know. Well, now we know the next match is the finale, so we're going to have the new champion, and they've done this. This has been going on for weeks now. And we're finally, again, October 19th there in Chatsworth, we're going to end this, series, which is going to be cool.
Yeah, so one of those two guys is going to walk away as the No Limits champion, and you have to believe that's going to put them in line for a heavyweight title shot somewhere down the road after the war they've had. Turnbuckle also ran Sugar Hill, Georgia. This was their part of the Hispanic Heritage Festival. Again, it's that cast of people. Brady Booker, Michael Solar, Northside Heroes were there. Nikki 8 and Lucha Brady got a win over Christian Taylor and Dennis Glass. And the main event, holy cow, two guys we'll talk about them in a little bit. Barry Morales defeating KJ Impala in a main event. And it sounds like they're going to be having a few more shows there coming in the coming year there at Indio Brewing. Indio, sorry.
And it looks like they've committed to like 4 shows. Hopefully I was okay to say that. But they it's that's just wild, yeah. Because that's not far from their Buford home. That's literally pretty close by, but these outdoor shows, it's actually covered. I know it sounds crazy. It's outdoors, but it's covered, so it's safe a little bit from the weather. So, kudos to TCW. Like I said, man, just considering to knock it out. I mean, but like I said, it's cool that you could go out to a free show, at a festival and see, again, like somebody like Vari Morales, Brady Booker, Rico Gonzalez was on the card, on and on and on. Look, we tell you this on a regular basis. You got to follow these guys on all these promotions on social media, because they're running so often that you just to keep up with them. It's the only way you're going to do it.
Yes. Only one show that we know about from Sunday, and that was Georgia Outlaw Wrestling there in Royston, Georgia. Jacob Ashworth defeated Eli Smiles, defending that Georgia Heritage Championship that he's been defending various places. It used to be the Anarchy Heritage Championship. They changed it to Georgia, and Ashworth has been defending that title anywhere he can in Georgia. And that's just who Jacob Ashworth is.
Yep. I agree.
Their next show coming up on November 10th, we're having an election. Luca Daniels, who's been out with an injury, he and Billy Bell are going to have an election where the fans are going to decide who's going to run Georgia Outlaw Wrestling. So make sure you vote on election day. Make sure you get to Royston on November 10th to vote in that election. So it was a full weekend. But the big question is, who won the week?
Well, man, listen, as we get into talking about this, I partially say we struggled with this comment or with this conversation this week.
Right.
Because, who won the week is not something we don't take it lightly. As crazy as that sounds, it is absolutely not something that we take lightly. But this week, look, you can knock us all you want, and so be it. We'll live with it. We did.
That's right.
We won the week by any stretch of the imagination. And look, it's not, because we've always talked about who won the week. It doesn't mean best wrestler, blah blah blah. There's a lot of ways to explain who won the week. And look, the opportunity was not wasted on us. The opportunity that was afforded us, maybe is the word I'm looking at Friday at Turnbuckle. We did in there. Look, and again, didn't claim There were no claims that are delusions of grandeur, as I like to. I was trying to tell somebody politely, like, look, there was no delusions of grandeur here. We understood. It was like what our roles were, what we did, whatever. But here's the but. There, your kids were there. My kids were there. I had grandkids there. Wife was there. Friends were there. Just across the board.
Your mother-in-law was there.
My mother-in-law, my sister. Yeah, like I said, it was lots of friends, lots of family, and all that kind of stuff. Everybody was there. And, it was kind of cool to have a moment. You took a picture that that it was super cool to have with the grandson.
My favorite. Yeah. That's my favorite picture right there. They made signs for you, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Grandpa was getting into the ring, and they all went in, dove in feet first, not head first, but feet first. But there's a cool picture that I got. It was off a video, and I sent it to my daughter, who the twins were, her kids. And it's a picture of me when we came out and we walked that wall, high five it, as we walked by and stuff. And I was kind of like, that's why we won the week. Like it had, the experience was amazing. It was fun. We had a blast doing it. And that's why. It's that simple, guys. It's like, that's why we won the week. It's just, that's a moment that, good. Are we marks? Sure we are, 100%. But that's kind of why that moment cannot be, in hindsight, it was so much fun.
I think one of the things we did on what we recorded on the way to the show was kind of to get behind the scenes a little bit, to just talk about everyone that was involved in making this happen. And I cannot say enough good things about Dylan Lesson and KJ Impala, who they could have said, nah, we're, this is stupid. We don't want to be in that. They embraced it. They knew, like, they do this every weekend. Mm-hmm. Me and you do that one time.
Yeah.
One night only. And the fact that everyone involved, wanted us. Hey, you need to, because at one point you weren't going to go over to your family. You were just going to kind of go to the stage and get in the ring.
But here's the thing. Hold on. I want to pause, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
That was a twofold suggestion. One, embrace your moment. Like, have your moment.
Yes.
Do you. But then two, what we discussed earlier in the show. Interact with the crowd. Walk through them. High five them. Get that, because here's the thing: if we're cold, calculate, we walk in, do it. Like, do they care? Do we get that reaction at the end of the match? If we don't walk around, high five, and even up on the stage, there were people we knew, but there were people that we didn't know that we were like, hey, like high five, getting them, and next thing you know, those people are invested. It was about so that's what I said. I think one of the strengths that Turnbuckle has is they understand, like, it is about getting those people to invest into this. So by the end of it, they're in. And we got that. Look, I mean, I back up and say, look, someone else got us to the promised land at the end. I mean, but we got there.
I'm going to say something, and it's probably going to come off wrong. I had a carload of people. I had 4 people drive 2 hours to come see this. I'm still blown away by that. And one of the young ladies that came, we're walking in. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you were wrestling. She's like, oh, yeah, I love wrestling. I'm like, well, this is the Nightmare Factory. That's Cody Rhodes' training school. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, and like, it was so cool to see them, to see my son interacting with his friend. What's crazy is these aren't even my son's friends. My son had to come home from college because they lost power. These were just folks he was hanging around with all week that he made friends with and said, hey, we're going to see this wrestling show with my dad. So that was pretty cool, man. It was just a very, very cool moment. And then what a tremendous, fast-paced match where everyone involved in this match, I'm sitting there literally. I've got two tables. I'm standing between two tables filming the show, which the only negative thing is lost all the footage, not sure what happened to my camera. But anyway, and to hear them talk and to see the teamwork. And let me tell you, the Root, Dylan and KJ, let's see them against the infantry. It was I mean, it was just great. You've gone back and watched it. How does it feel watching it back now?
I mean, listen again, because it's not ever, because it was funny. I had some people watch it and they and kind of shoot me some feedback, and I was like, yeah, right. I mean, it is what it is,
right?
But in hindsight, it's like, oh, would you do this? Would you do this? Well, yeah, but you could do that with any match, right? That's the hindsight 2020. But in the grand scheme of things, no, probably not.
Yeah.
I would have attempted to have executed a couple things here or there better, but that doesn't mean they didn't. I was happy with it. I'm glad everything went great. Look, we picked up a W, man. What are we at the end of the day? Jack Jameson, it's that simple. Just pick up a W. We've been telling you that. Forget. Keep your eye on the ball and just pick up a W. Doesn't matter how you get there.
When he picks up a win, no one will be happier than us.
No.
We will talk about it. We will celebrate it. Because
I want this dude to be a world
guy.
champion.
Yes.
I want him to be a world champion. Because then I'll have a W. I'll have a pin over a world champion. Absolutely from here on out. But yeah, get boom, 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 boom. But again, I do. Last but not least, everybody, Ryan and Dodson, Sebastian Blaze, Jack Jameson, KJ and Powell, Dylan, especially those two. Like you said, it is not, again, I could literally see if they embraced it more than anything, and just from the sheer fact of KJ and Powell and Dylan Lesson, like you said, could have been like, dude, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But they were like, oh no, let's do this, boom, let's go. And they were all in, and I was like, that's when we knew, I think we picked, when everything played out, I think it went well. And again, go to patreon.com, right? We gotta tell you all the time, if you're over there at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, tappedoutpod.com, YouTube, become a member. Like, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that stuff as we're putting all this extra stuff. Like I said, you could actually see what we just talked about, the match itself. There's some behind the scenes curtain talk, that'll be up there soon, and all of that stuff. So I think, more things will evolve over time and stuff. But it was a blast. I am really glad that everybody got to be involved, not just me. I was Myron got to come out at the promo at the beginning. Your involvement in that was kind of what I was hoping, that it was everybody, like a big group thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and but like I said, it was a moment with my grandkids that I was like, that's the part that I'll take from it more than anything. I got to see, there's a couple camera shots where I can see them, and and my daughters and all that kind of stuff reacting, and that's kind of what made that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a gift. It was a gift to us. And I think that's why we won, is some people we highly respect gave us this gift.
Sure.
And it was something we'll always remember. Holy cow, bucket list type stuff. And again, if you want to dive even deeper, again, on Patreon, we got some stuff coming out. And we're probably going to talk about this a lot more. But it was just so much fun. Just so much fun. I am traveling this weekend and will not be able to hit any shows. Make sure you check out Nick and Myron this week as they talk about all the indie shows coming up as they make the drives. But Nick, any other thoughts before we get out of here today?
No, man. It's like I said, it was a big weekend, obviously. And it, obviously I wished I'd have had another show or two in me this weekend, but it was the wife's birthday. So we kind of, that's why I was out after the Friday show. But this weekend, man, it's a heavy loaded card. And of course, Friday, still here, man, still here 6. Yeah, it's going to be a massive weekend for indie wrestling here in Georgia.
Yeah, so get out there, support indie wrestling, support your favorite wrestlers, buy merch, buy T-shirts, cheer for them, boo for them. But no matter what show you go to, keep your eyes open because we may be there. For Nick McDaniel, this is Heath Mulkin. Thanks for listening to the Tapped In Indie Wrestling Podcast, and we will hopefully see you at the matches.